Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You fucked up. You fucked up big time.
Oh, it's a new world now. Apparently. I'm thinking of making intros like that as a staple of my videos. Don't know yet, we'll see. Now, for those of you who have been asleep at the wheel for the last 24 hours or so, the rat king of cocaine, allegedly, Zelensky, wannabe dictator of Ukraine, went to the White House with President Trump and VP Vance, apparently to sign some other mineral deal with America. To say it didn't go well would be quite the understatement. It appears to have become an international incident, one that will live in infamy, well, for about 5 minutes, seeing as the average Westerner has the attention span of a drunken squirrel.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems? Bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Of the war,
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown.
position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you don't.
I'm
Yeah,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
are you
America
speaking about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Your country is
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I.
You have a damn good chance of coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
Yes. What about
if
West
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak-
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days,
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a.
It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
But this
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
All right. I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television. I will say that.
Now, let me just wind the clock back to how the hell we got here. Professor John Mearsheimer predicted a Russian demolishing of Ukraine all the way back in the middle of the last decade. And prior to Mearsheimer, it was foreshadowed by George Kennan, the American statesman responsible for the Soviet containment program during the Cold War, when America decided to expand NATO for some reason after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Essentially saying, what the hell are you doing, you absolute spastics? No one was threatening anybody else. If you expand a military alliance all the way to the Russian border, the bear will use hard power to knock you off, and the reaction will be, well, we always told you Russia will be like that, and no one will honestly examine how the hell they got to this point. I was never one to believe in the whole, oh, the anti-NATO argument is a Putin talking point, when the whole not 1 inch east phrase that was used by then Secretary of State James Baker, referring to NATO expansion, was used in a meeting with Gorbachev. The argument for many being, well, that was a guarantee to the Soviet Union, not Russia, and therefore bollocks to him. As if any sovereign nation isn't going to take that kind of weaselly wording as a threat that you are now going to expand militarily and eventually take aim at Russia, seeing as America's government is full of aging boomers that have all been blueballed from a lack of direct military action their soulless selves have been drooling over for the better part of almost half a damn century. Mind you, this was about 10 years before Putin was even in power. Instead of heeding the words of George Kennan, the American government, hey, look, let's just make this our foreign policy for the next 30 freaking years. Their reasoning against the NATO explanation is completely divorced from reality as well. What Putin is going to expend resources and manpower to invade and conquer Ukraine, expend more resources and manpower holding Ukraine, all the while Poland, a NATO nation, is now on his doorstep, and he is going to expend even more resources and power yet again invading Poland, triggering Article 5 and likely starting a third world war.
Fucking why?
What insane world do these deranged maniacs live in? Fact of the matter is, George Kennan has been completely vindicated because during all of this, anyone that was even vaguely familiar with history or tried to understand the Russian perspective was called a Putin sim. I can attest to this, by the way. Russia is old and seasoned. Its people are tough. And the one thing you can admire about Russia is its age. Whether you like it or not, the great Russian bear is to be respected. The lead-up and reaction to and during all of this has been nothing short of surreal. The 2014 Euromaidan, Victoria Nuland, and the overthrowing of Yanukovych, the Biden dealings with Burisma, Joe boasting about using aid as leverage to get the Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin fired, the one they claim was corrupt. Meanwhile, he was just so happened to be investigating the company that his son Hunter was sitting on, despite having no experience whatsoever, which was totally not a conflict of interest, even as Biden used his executive powers to pardon all of his son's crimes, going conveniently all the way back to 2014. You know, after he repeatedly denied that he planned to do so. And don't even get us started on Nord Stream's destruction. Now, you will recall that during the previous administration when Putin charged through, this actor turned puppet gimp was propped up, lionized, and his ass kissed by American and European heads of state. Paraded through Congress he was. For some reason, we must now all give a massive shit about Russia supposedly violating the sovereignty of Ukraine, even as both Europe and America experience ungodly amounts of violation of its own territorial integrity. Flags appeared in bios, hashtag I stand with Ukraine. You know, up until a certain country in the Middle East decided to stand up and do some shit. Good luck to you, rat boy, you're yesterday's news now. Anyone remember how quickly that whole ordeal became the new current thing? It was practically overnight. Again, totally surreal. However, Zelenskyy, high on his own farts and probably some other stuff as well, courtesy from the Bidens no doubt, doesn't seem to register he's talking to a new administration. Apparently, he was sent there via Starman Macron to essentially rope the Americans into a guaranteed deal with Ukraine. Oh yeah, and also this twat.
Everybody knows there's a minerals deal on the table today, right? And I think it has every prospect of being signed. And frankly, I think it should be signed because it commits the United States in black and white to a free, sovereign, and secure Ukraine. So what we need now is everybody to be serious and to get real and to listen to what Trump is actually saying and doing and proposing. He said he doesn't mind UK troops on the ground in Ukraine. That's great. Well, then we need to make that real. The US is committed, black and white, to a free, secure, sovereign Ukraine. You can't have a sovereign country without the ability to decide which clubs you're going to belong to. Sovereign country can remain committed to joining NATO. That's sovereignty. Sovereign country can remain free to allow whatever troops it wants to come on its soil to support it. That's sovereignty. Now, Putin can never accept that. The US has already committed to that. I think Putin is ultimately going to fail and Ukraine is going to succeed.
That was apparently a few days ago. I don't know what on earth that drunken git's been guzzling lately. He's completely delusional. If you're beholden to another nation for your defense, you don't have sovereignty. He's insane. What's bizarre, though, is how he framed the whole deal as a commitment to joining NATO, which the Americans are wedded to. Which is not true, and Trump himself even said so, taking questions a few days ago. NATO you can forget about.
What concessions would you like to see?
Oh, I don't want to tell right now, but I can tell you that NATO you can forget about. I think that's probably the reason the whole thing started.
Now keep in mind, Boris isn't the only establishment shill pushing this bloodthirsty warmongering. Even if the UK is the only country in the world supporting Ukraine, we should keep supporting them. Why, hello, Lord Farquaad. They are on the front lines of our defense. Their sons and daughters are fighting and dying for our freedom. We should be thanking them. How the hell does that make any sense, you fucking psychopath? But anyway, back to Zelensky. All things considered, apparently Trump was not a fan of this deal, and he may have been saying behind the scenes, let's see if we can rile him up a bit. They laid the bait, and the Rat King took the cheese, left with his tail tucked between his legs in a rather undignified manner. It appears to have worked as well, because even I've never seen a war that didn't give me a hard on John McCain 2.0, Lindsey Graham, pulled his support from Zelensky. If even he is no longer backing you, you are seriously screwed.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Of the war,
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown.
position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You're
gambling with World War
What do
III.
you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
you
America
speaking about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait
answer?
a minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this.
I don't know what world Zelensky lives in, but publicly disrespecting your sponsors after you've got, over $200 billion of aid, and who the hell knows where that aid even went, you're on the verge of losing, using the equipment from that very same sponsor, and you're acting like you're in any position to make any kind of demands. Never mind arrogance, that's just a level of retarded that I can't even fathom. That's why people said he must have been on drugs, because that's a level of stupidity that is just jaw-dropping. Well, either that or people were wondering who the hell is really pulling his strings or what financial powers are backing him, because Europe simply doesn't have the muscle to fight Putin. And Europe better realize that, and quick. Because the harsh reality that Europe doesn't want to face is NATO is on its knees, and Putin has won. He holds all the cards. Zelensky better play ball or else he's gone. The American population can't stand him, especially after he appeared like an ungrateful spoiled brat with the entitlement of a trust fund baby. Forget about going back to the 2014 borders. That's done. As is NATO. It is now off the table. Russia weathered the storm. They withstood the sanctions. The narrative of Zelensky as Churchill and Vlad Mustache Man has collapsed and failed miserably. The Russian bear did not flinch. We could see a return to proper realpolitik after this, the return of the strongman. And dear God, I hope so, because the liberal order needs to die off once and for all. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.